Welcome everyone in the Bullock community to the 5th episode of the Paddock the Goals Flood Recovery Series, brought to you by the Bullock Shire Council in partnership today with the North Central Football League, Donald and Charlton football clubs, netball and hockey, Resurrect Theatre, Donald 2000, and with amazing funding support from Emergency Recovery Victoria. My name is Jo Postlethwaite and I'm the Manager of Customer Engagement at the Bullock Shire Council, and I'm standing in today for the amazing Travis Fitzgibbon, who unfortunately has been sidelined today with the flu, which is probably equivalent of having a bit of a hamstring problem, and for a broadcaster that is. Hope you're feeling a little bit better at home today, Travis. So love from all of us to you. We're broadcasting today live from Charlton Park at the Oval outside Charlton. So if you hear a few whistles going in the background, it's probably the netball. And hopefully we're all nice and warm in our cars watching from wherever you are today. Just an acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which we are broadcasting today, the Dja Dja Wurrung country, and extend our respects to elders past, present and emerging. This round, we were looking at what draws us back to our rural communities and towns. What wonderful sense of community and connection that you really can't replicate in urban design, no matter how hard you try. Our discussions today also aim to improve the understanding of the October 22 flood event, document lessons learned, and emphasise the role of local activities and organisations in promoting community connections. Now you're listening in wherever you are today, from your car or here today at the North Central Footy League. It's a little chilly out there, so wrap up and keep warm while we launch into our current series. I'd like to welcome today Fletcher Holmes-Brown, who's a student at the Charlton P12 College, and his teacher, Megan King, who teaches geography. Now, you're doing something very innovative at your school. Tell us about your project.
So in geography, we had to study the impacts and the factors of the 2011 floods and how those impacts and factors affected the social life of community members in the town, as well as economic impacts, environmental impacts and physical impacts, and how all these impacts and factors led up to the response to the 2022 flooding event in Charlton.
Wow, that's quite amazing. When we think about what we do after the floods in terms of developing resilience, it's about having those plans and the lessons learned and some actions. What are some of the things you're finding in the interviews you've had with your students?
We found that it's that there's not just one thing affected, that it's such a wide, multifaceted issue that it's sorry about my words.
We might just as in break into that. We might explain a little bit there. We're so rapt to have you on here today, Fletcher. What probably people don't know at home is Fletcher's and his family are fairly significant members of our football community here. And just not so long ago, Fletcher was involved in a bit of an accident on the field. A teacher might want to talk a little bit about that and how, as a community, we're working together to support you and getting back into life in our Charlton community.
So Fletcher's one of our fabulous students, and he's doing a really good job at the moment recovering from a bit of a head knock. So sometimes he gets his words a bit muddled, but that's okay, because this is one of those sorts of activities I think that he was born to do, sitting on a microphone. And we're getting back into that. But the things that they found were that the 2011 floods did a lot to help us to understand why Charlton is impacted by floods so much. And when we got through to the 2022 floods, we were able to compare those two events using our fieldwork that we did for geography. There are a number of things that we found through interviewing community members, and the students learned all sorts of things about the mental health impact on the community, the panic that ensued prior to the 2022 floods. It was a much slower onset of flood, and they did have time to prepare, but that also left a lot of time for a lot of worry. Fletcher's family was quite severely impacted by the 2011 flooding in their businesses. And Fletcher certainly was talking about how impacted they were in the pre-2022 flooding event in their preparations.
And this time around, do you think, because we've been through this a few more times, we're sort of learning how to do this a little bit better and we're perhaps not as panicked and we're a little bit more prepared?
Yes, we're certainly we were more prepared for the flood, but that was due to our own experiences, our own sort of traumas is the word, knowing that it wasn't just water rising then leaving, it was like a creek basically rolling through your shop and knocking over tables. You can't just put things up higher, you have to move it out of the shop completely and
all those things too. And what about your friends? When we have the floods, we get cut off from some of our friends in the community. Some of the roads get closed down.
Yeah.
So how much of impact did that have on your socialisation in the community?
Well, it sort of had a positive effect as most people were forced up into the same area. So it had, in the 2022 floods, definitely had almost a positive effect as we were all brought together in sort of one block of area. But then again, we had the constant worry of kids who didn't know whether or not they would have a home to go to tomorrow with the rising floodwaters, which was always in the back of our minds during that 2022 floods.
Well, we had some success this time around with our mitigation of floods. After that, how was that relief to know that the water's going past and we've managed to save the town?
Beautiful, really. It was worth the hard work, even if it was sort of not really useless, but it was a relief, really, that we were able to dodge the bullet.
One of the things that we found as well is that there are a number of other members of the class that the kids really, really instrumental in setting up those mitigation strategies. So all of the sandbagging efforts, the kids, rather than going to school, the kids were sitting there and sandbagging businesses and homes. And I know that certainly at least one of them was involved in setting up the temporary levee that went across the back St Arnaud Road and St Arnaud Road.
Yeah, so very much heavily involved. So this time we probably had a lot of learning that we can put forward into the future. And thank you very much for the work you're doing with your project, because I think, that learning is going to be contributing to how we prepare better in the future. Just want to say thank you very much to both of you for coming in today. I hope all goes well and can't wait to see the outcome of your project, and we're all looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
And we are back for the second quarter of the Paddock the Goals. It's wonderful to have you today, senior player Anthony Judd, many wearer of hats in Charlton, who's also been a former CEO of the Bull Lake Shire Council. I nearly did. You could still come back. Come back. We won't say that today. The mayor's coming in today as well, so we're looking forward to him coming in for our podcast as well. But also from the Donald Football Club, Rowan Brown, he's seniors coach. You both snuck away from your team meetings. Thank you very much. You grew up in Donald, and you've grown up your whole life in Charlton. And you both met on the football field as in the 14s.
We did. It was a long time ago now, Juddy.
Yeah, it was.
We would have been 25 odd years ago, I'd reckon. So, and Juddy's still running around dominating like he did back then. So I just said, how many games now? 350, and you're still getting a kick, mate.
Running around and dominating are both far too generous. I'd say jogging around, plodding around, and spectating and supporting our team on. But we had pretty good rivalries back then.
We did.
Even Ross Young, I remember Ross Young, who's one of the star players. When did he win the league medal last year or the year before?
That was last year, 38 years old, and he won the league medal last year. So
I remember tagging him in the under-14s back in the day. That was where he's gone a long way with his career.
We used to come over a fair few times to Charlton to the old fishing comps and stay with the Walklates and play up with Juddy and the boys after a few late nights when we were underage, a few underage parties. Yeah. On the soft drink cans, of course.
Absolutely, on the soft drink cans. Always. Absolutely. So there's a lot to say about active participation being important in our rural communities and building strengths of character and on the football field. We always say we can tell a person probably the way they react in terms of sportsmanship on the footy, netball and a hockey field. So how did you size Anthony up way back then, Rowan?
You're only pretty small. He hadn't grown too much, and I was probably a bit bigger, and I haven't changed too much either. So,
pun intended.
He was a little tacker wheel, sort of, we're all that size, but he was pretty quick. And did you win a league medal? I reckon you might have won a league medal too, or did Aaron maybe?
No, I got runner-up.
Aaron
won one.
Yeah.
Aaron won one.
Yeah.
He won one for Bort.
There was a fair rivalry, as Juddy said. There was sort of Donald and Charlton, and the rest were sort of below us and Arnold every now and then. But it was. He was a good player, still is.
We had a good
person.
It was a good class and a bad class, Joe, in when we were growing up. So we had 15 boys and 5 girls. So great football teams. Yeah. Saturday nights were tough. So we
small pickings.
We had a bit of success in the juniors, and Donald had a bit of success. So we were always competing at the top of the ladder in those years. But Donald's sort of population means that they usually stay. Although our under-16s had a win out there today, which was good.
8 goals or something like that. The boys had a win, so it was good for them.
The under-14 Donald guys won. So,
All right, sounds so. Your career is essentially built on what you've done here in your local towns. Question to you both: what's special about your community in the spirit of the community connection fostered by your involvement, and how that's kind of developed your careers?
Yeah, I mean, I can kick off there. So I feel like, community's been at the heart of what I've done from a professional career perspective, but also, it's really hard to separate some way. So obviously you mentioned off the top I was the CEO, but before that I was a rec officer, so, and Charlton, and I see similarities and little subtle differences between all of the Bull Lake communities and the North Central communities. They're great places, and I think there was a survey however long ago, Bull Lake was top of all the councils on volunteering, and you go here today and you see everything that everyone does to make today happen. And then what I love about today is, whatever the results are, you'll go in afterwards and there'll be just people everywhere in that wonderful facility that the community put $1.3 million into. And Donald have a similar example with their Blue Room, which is a great development as well. So it's really hard then, I think from a career perspective, the drive to come back and the passion to kind of be part of that and help that and assist, and whether it's build a better Bull Lake or whatever the approach is, that sort of gives you the energy. So I love my time at Bull Lake. I feel like we achieved a lot, and still live here. But my wife, who's a teacher, she'll have a different example, but very similar passion about the kids. It's a great school. And I know Donald and know the principals over there and the teachers for a long time. They're exactly the same. So
You asked me this yesterday, and I sort of was pondering it on the way up today on the drive. And what Juddy just said, I was talking to Blake Grant, and he just said, "Isn't it good?" And I think every club's got that part of it, but I think Charlton and Donald, because we probably are close together in terms of location, it's a very fun sort of day when you do play footy, netball, and hockey against them. So you go in there and you have a beer and a reminisce, and you get home late, even though you do play away. But I'm a little bit different to Juddy, where I moved away from Donald in 2006, the end of 2006, and I sort of thought on the way up, how do you sort of, as you said, the local community, and I don't think you get an appreciation of the local community and what people do as a youngster until you move away and then come back. And it took me 15 years to come back to Donald and be a part of the community, and mum and dad still live there, and my nan as well. But when you come back after being a young kid, you get down the bright city lights, and it's just not the same as you come back to Donald and Charlton and the local towns, and you go, God, there's a lot of people that help out and make the community and as I said, the football, netball and hockey club. Then you don't get an appreciation, as I said, until you sort of move away, and then you go, hell, like they have done a lot. And as you said, Charlton, the amazing facility here, and Donald, the Anderson Blue Room there, and the netball courts and everything like that's done. It's a credit to the community and to the Shire and the towns that are still going through pretty hard times the last sort of 5 years, I suppose.
It's something that it's interesting when you sort of talk about people in the city and city planning. They're like not wanting to go out the suburbs now, and they just want to go into the huge sky rises.
It is funny though, the amount of people that know where Donald is. Like you say, where are you from? And you like I said to one bloke when I first moved down there, I live in a town between Capee and Watcham, and he said, "Don't you mean Cope and Watcham? That's Donald. My grandparents lived there." So I got found out pretty quick. But yeah, so it is funny. A lot of people know where Donald and Charlton, Witchy Proof, all those towns are. Yeah,
there is always a connection. I remember. Whenever you travel, wherever you go, there is someone who you go, you wouldn't know it's north of Bendigo. It's near Melbourne. Whereabouts in Victoria, or north of Bendigo. And whereabouts, and then you say Donald or Charlton, and it's someone who's grown up in Witchery or Charlton or Donald, and friends of friends.
Yeah, it's good.
It is, but it's something you can't really replicate. And I sort of, in the city planning now, they're trying to make it more sense of community in their sky rises. They're trying to create spaces that are more community focused. But I don't think they're going to quite be able to replicate what we can do up here in rural Victoria. So when they're thinking about options of how they can do better planning in the city, I think they need to sort of look more up to the rural area. I think so. Yeah. I just want to thank you guys for coming in today. I wish you both the best out in the ground. I am sort of siding more with the this colour blue today, because I've got a young bloke running out there in the twos. Hopefully he's not injured, or I'm going to have to. Okay. He's going okay.
Yeah, we're working on your other son too. We need him back.
He needs to do a bit more work first. He's been on the slow. He's been on the slow track, I think, for a little while. But thank you guys, and thank you for showing so much commitment and supporting your communities through all this too.
Can we say well done on this too?
Absolutely.
They got an award for this program over the weekend in Canberra, so national award. Yeah. So well done on your initiative. Yeah, and I would say, and I was in Charlton when the floods happened, and Charlton did okay this time out of the floods. I know there was still some impacts, but the visibility of emergency services, Bullock Shire people, they were everywhere in that October flood event. So I just thought, it was really, really good and really visible. The response. So, and I know that the locals, and with the works that you did to divert floodwaters and do all that kind of stuff, really well appreciated. So well done.
No, thank you. Well, it's all being part of the team, isn't it? We really are a great team in Bullock, and I think we're really showing on the national stage now about how important it is for us to stay connected, how important our active sports and all of our volunteering contributes to that, and that's how we set ourselves up for the future. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Well done.
Go Navies.
And welcome back. We're into the third quarter of the Paddock the Goals. And today we have with us the Mayor, Councillor Alan Getley. Welcome, Alan.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
And all the way down the road from Donald, we have John McConville, who is the president of the Donald 2000.
Hello, Joe. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much for coming in today, guys. Now, Mayor, we had a special meeting last week so that the councillors could give you approval to tick you off so you could fly up to Canberra, accompanied also by our CEO, Wayne O'Toole, to attend the National Government Association, our Communities Conference. It was essentially an opportunity to speak to the key ministers and movers and shakers up there behind the scenes on issues that affect Bullock. However, there's something we were keeping a little bit secret at the time, keeping under wraps. What was that reason where we went up to Canberra?
We were lucky to be one of the 10 winners of a national award for our Paddock run, and we needed to receive that from the local government minister. So we went up there and collected that award, which is sitting right here in front of us.
Hold it up and do like you've just won the grand final.
Right, yeah, there
Mr.
we are.
Mayor?
There's the award we received, and yes, I had the privilege of actually Paddock running the minister, who acknowledged her in her keynote speech yesterday that she quite enjoyed the cookers' cookies, which are obviously made in Donald.
Fantastic. Now, John, you also were integral in helping to round up the trips over there at Donald in the flood recovery. How did we go this time? How did we work together as a community?
No, we went really well, Joe. Like, there's a bit of a story to this, as you know. In 2011 floods, they were the biggest that we've seen. And post-2011, we were able to get some funding from Peter Walsh, the then acting, he was the lead of the National Party. And we built a levee bank to protect Donald Township from future floods. And to the credit of everyone, it worked really well in these floods. And so I was known to be standing on the top of the levee bank thinking and hoping that it was going to rise more so we could really test it out. But it certainly saved the town.
You might have been the only one hoping for that, John. I think the rest of us were hoping it stayed down. But yeah, it's a really is a testament to the community doing their planning, learning from what we had experienced last time and really putting that into play. And I know that our team at Bullock were out there well in advance doing their practice and rehearsals. We even went and set up our mock, our municipal operations centre, and had a practice run there too. So yeah. When we were ready to roll, we flicked the switch and off we went, didn't we? It
worked really well with the local volunteers and with the Shire, and everyone had the plan, and fortunately the plan was put in place and it did work really well. There was a couple of small glitches, but nothing to be concerned about. And the positive was we had everyone there, the CFA, we had the police, we had the ambulance, we had the locals, we had the schools, and so everyone became involved. It was great.
It was good. Now, Mayor, one of the advantages of winning the award is we kind of got some back doors to take to some key politicians, didn't we, up there?
We certainly did.
And often you have to sort of book in a long way in advance to have those opportunities. So tell us a little bit about what you spoke to them about and what you can tell us as when you come back. What were you able to learn and some opportunities for us?
Yes, look, it was a fantastic opportunity to have all those ministers around the conference centre, the National Conference Centre, in one spot. Look, I got to speak with obviously the local government minister. I spoke with aides from the Chris Bowens about the V&I West yesterday. Good conversations there. Spoke with infrastructure ministers, road ministers, and all their aides, and of course we were a bit privileged to be sitting right beside the Prime Minister at a gala dinner on Thursday night, and actually got to introduce to the Prime Minister in that event. So just to talk to them and to talk to like flood mitigation, roads, sustainability, Shire sustainability, and money that we need to sustain the Shire was just absolutely brilliant, and you just don't get that opportunity without having to go to Canberra to sit with them one-on-one.
You did get up the top table. You were rubbing shoulders with all the top brass, and that was a great opportunity. We were watching from the back stalls. But just to recap sort of what happened in Bullock, we ended up with 149 closed roads, 50 pothole repairs covering an area of about 3,800 square metres. 1,420 grading activities, and that's 174 kilometres of that was an average of 120 metres of reconstruction. We showed them some pictures and of what betterment looks like, and what was the reaction to that, Mayor?
That was well received, to be honest, because that message was not only coming from Buloke, that was coming from just about every single council that was impacted in that flood. And the Minister for Roads, he actually said to me, he said, we need to do something, and they have now agreed that they will do something. And when we were a little bit lucky of getting just on $1 million out of them for betterment, so we need to keep pushing it. But that message was pushed to him loud and clear, and he said that Queensland, New South Wales have got that system in place, and it's high time Victoria got it as well. So if nothing else, if it comes out of it, that is a really good outcome for, and will be a good outcome for Buloke.
Fantastic. Now, John, what's going on over in Donald? You have lots of activities. You have a fantastic festival that's moved into Donald that brings thousands and thousands of people. Tell us about some of the activities that have been happening in Donald, which has helped to improve livability and people wanting to come back to Donald, and what you've got coming up.
Well, you're right there, Joe. We have the Esoteric Festival, and that's annually, and run by Sam Goldsmith and his crew, and they've got it just right. It's perfect. And they've thrown in a B&S ball as well, and that was on April the 1st, and that was one of the best we heard from the crowd. They loved it so much, so that's another annual event that's happening. There's lots of things going on. At the moment, we're trying to raise a few dollars locally for the big Kookaburra, and that's going to be situated out the front of Cooker's factory, and appropriately so. And locals have put in a lot for that and to make that happen, and we hope that's a tourist attraction. And then we've got some murals coming on, we hope, in the town as well. We're getting a bit of funding together for that. So that'll make our town a bit more attractive for tourists to come along. They can link it with the silo art and hopefully stay and spend a few dollars with us.
Sounds terrific. Well, actually, the Cookers Country Cookies took a fair centre stage with regards to the Paddock run, didn't it, Mayor?
They certainly did.
And we were very pleased to hear the Minister report to the entire congregation that she had been Paddock run, and I understand that they ate all 3 kilos of Cookers Country Cookies that we delivered up there on the day.
And during the parliamentary sitting, yes, and she actually acknowledged yesterday at the conference yesterday that she thoroughly enjoyed the Cookers Country Cookies. So well done to the Donald community.
Well, it is well done, and it's just one jewel in the crown. You know, we've got Eat Well there as well, and they employ probably 70 or 80 people with different shifts and things. We've got cookers, we've got 50-odd businesses on the industrial estate, so that's a real jewel in the crown for Donald and District. Employment is great within the township because of all those businesses, and it's something that we're proud of. The schools are good, the doctors are good, the sporting facilities are great. We've got a great place, and that's just one of several within the Buloke Shire.
You're absolutely right. And one thing that we were scratching our heads up in Canberra, weren't we, Mayor, about when the discussion come about the cities and having to redevelop the cities to cope with population growth. They're all going up. They're not going outwards. They're going way up. But they hadn't quite thought about what other options there were. But there's plenty of options out in rural and regional Victoria to develop businesses too, isn't there?
Yeah, that's correct. I think we spent a fair bit of time this week trying to educate them that the world doesn't end at the city borders, that there's a whole heap of country Victoria, country Australia, rural Australia, that is a really good place to have a look and to come and Buloke and have a bit of a squeeze. Absolutely.
All right, fellas, and go and enjoy the footy. It's a little bit chilly out there. You are. I can see you're well and truly rugged up. We have our 2 teams, Charlton and Donald, facing off today, all in good spirits, of course. Thank you for being here and selling the spirit of Buloke.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the third quarter of the Paddock the Goals. Today we come from Charlton with Wendy Laffin of the Agricultural Society and the Charlton Golf Club, and also David Pollard, who's a counsellor, emergency services volunteer, and also at the Rex Theatre. So we'll start with you, Wendy. What makes you feel so proud to live in this community?
Well, I just think everybody bands together, and there's never nothing gets done without, you don't have to ask for help, you don't have to do anything, everybody just banters together, and it's just such a good community.
Yeah, and I guess in my time over here, I've only been here for a short time, but I found that's a really tight-knit community where
Very
everyone
tight.
knows each other. They say good day to you down the street, they stop you when you're grocery shopping, doing all that sort of stuff. And
As soon as you want help, when you're in an organisation, everyone's willing to help.
yeah,
No one says no.
It's fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. And Charlton was inundated in 2011. Our community, council, government agencies and the incident controller successfully mitigated the town being heavily inundated this time round. However, it was on the eve of the agricultural show and it was cancelled. That came at a significant cost to the community. How important are our agricultural shows? And in the aftermath of the disaster, how is the Agricultural Society bouncing back?
Well, that's very hard to bounce back because you've spent a lot of money to get the show up and going, a lot of things booked for the kids and, the community to visit and see, and the pavilion had all been set up and done, and then to just cancel it on the eve of the show was very daunting, especially when we hadn't had a show for 2 years due to COVID, and then we got it all up and going, and now we're all back on foot, hopefully get it up and going for 2023, but surely we won't get flooded again.
Yeah.
Surely, let's pray. But it's just it's probably the cost. And the community not coming together, they love to all come to the show, kids love to show their wares, animals or whatever they're going to have, just gets the whole community together and very social day. So you've got to have the shows for the community.
Yep, and I guess I've had experiences with that with my Horsham Agricultural Society, so I'm pretty heavily involved with the show there. So during COVID, we had the same sort of thing happen. Our show was shut down the day before, so we went to an online show and we ran our show online, which was the first ever agricultural show ran online in Victoria. So we understand that, and it's so important to keep the community connected and engaged
Well,
through
you have
those
to,
types
and
of things.
I think it's good for the kids because they don't get to go to the Melbourne show, they don't get to go to the Bendigo show. Maybe one or two do, but it's the Charlton show what they live for, and they want to put their photos in, their cooking, their Lego, their whatever. We do have online entries. That's all online with Show Day online. So we've got all that up and going. So that has helped. We did that through COVID. We had time to do that. So that's made it a lot easier for the mums and with kids to bring their stuff. They can do it straight online, and then all they have to do is just bring it on the Friday or the Thursday before the show.
Yeah, awesome. And I think it's also important to, I guess, still be there, as there's nothing like walking through the ladies' pavilion, smelling all the freshly baked goods and seeing all the quilts and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And also you're involved in the local golf club. Can you tell us a little bit about the special events you have come up with and what makes the Ruled tournament so special?
Oh, well, we have a tournament every year, the first week in August. And, we get about 20 guys from Kew. They've been coming for the last 35 years. And the ladies have had a putter, we call it a putter day, which has been going for 30 years. And that's still going. So you still got to have that. And that brings a lot of people to the town. It's not just in the Carricara district, it's to the town, which is good. Yeah. And creates a lot of interest,
Awesome. Fantastic. And I think it's important to recognise our volunteers. So it's a reminder that the nominations for the 2023 Volunteering Awards are now open. Anyone can nominate. It's quick and easy, and you'll help make sure deserving volunteers and community organisations are recognised for the important contribution they make. The Volunteering Awards are jointly hosted by Volunteering Victoria and the Victorian State Government to recognise the incredible diversity and impact of volunteers across Victoria. Nominations close Monday the 17th of July 2023. For more information, you can nominate at volunteeringvictoria.org.au/awards. Now to you, David Pollard. Can you tell us a little bit about the fantastic Rex Theatre and how the community has rebuilt this amazing icon after the floods and their planning for the future?
Well, the 2011 flood event, I know it's a long time ago and we try and forget about it, but we remember what happened. The Rex Theatre was basically swamped and unusable for about 18 months until we got it back together. We were blessed with the Charlton Rotary Club and the Cotton On Foundation for giving us funding of over $300,000 to get it back on the line. Since we've got it back going after that one, we've now used Onleys from over at Donald, and they've actually extended the stage and put a fly tower so we can fly the screen, so we can actually open it up to live shows as well, live productions. And then just recently, there's been another $800,000 spent from the state government to put new toilets, a green room out the back, and some storage. And it's great to have storage now because we can actually put stuff, and it doesn't have to get doesn't have to go out home all the time to get stored.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I think it's so important to have these types of community organisations and community places where people can go and enjoy themselves in small communities. So you're also an emergency services volunteer. Can you reflect on how the community has weathered this particular event and what ways are they becoming more resilient?
The community really banded together for this particular event, and it stopped the water from coming into Charlton. They did a fantastic job because when you consider it was a larger flood than what we had in September 2010, and in September 2010 we had 30 houses with overflow flooding. This one we got 3. So it was a huge effort by the community and the emergency services and the council workers in getting that all up and going. Yeah. They did a colossal job, I believe.
They did. I live in town, and they did. If it wasn't for that, we would have been exactly the same as 211. Would have came straight down the St Arnaud Road, straight up the main street. Yeah. But it stopped.
So and it comes back to that banding together. Everyone banding together in that small community.
And they worked till 3 o'clock in the morning or something, David, wasn't it? We could hear the machinery going all night. It seemed like it was all night. Yeah. But they stopped it. Yeah. Without them, it wouldn't have stopped. No.
Without them, there would have been well over 30 houses with overflow flooding.
If not more, probably.
Yeah, right. That's fantastic.
So That was a fantastic effort by everyone in the community and the staff of the Shire and the emergency services.
Yeah, awesome.
The other bit that I play around with emergency services is Ambulance Victoria. Probably spend more time with them now than the CFA. And as far as the flood went, I was actually at home on an island because I couldn't get in, couldn't get out. So I was listening on the radio and giving them advice on where they could go, where they couldn't go when the floodwater was up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, really? Right, David.
Oh, right. So there you go. Interesting. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you both. A reminder that the visitor grant is now open, and this is a competitive grant, and a program is supporting the Victorian tourism industry to deliver high-quality information to visitors across the state. Apply now for grants up to $50,000 excluding GST to create or update visitors' servicing strategies. Applications close Monday 19 June 2023. Grants are also available between $50,001 and $625,000 to support the delivery of major visitor servicing projects. Applications for that close Monday the 3rd of July 2023. There are also small business owner grants, so if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, the Victorian Business Partners in Wellbeing Helpline is a free and confidential service for small business owners and employees. Get support from trained wellbeing coaches, financial counsellors and business advisors, as well as information in languages other than English. Call 1300 375 330 or visit the website to connect on a live chat and send in an inquiry or make a referral. For those people who have also not reached out yet for support, visit agriculture.vic.gov.au/floods. The following grants have been extended until the 13th of July 2023. The Primary Producer Flood Recovery Grant, the Rural Landholder Grant, the Flood Recovery Transport Support Program, the Primary Producer Flood Recovery Concessional Loan. The Financial Rural Counselling Service is available to assist primary producers to understand and apply for flood and storm support. Primary producers can contact their local RFCS on 1300 771 741. More information is also available on the Rural Finance website at www.rulefinance.com.au or by calling 1800 260 425. Sorry, I'll flip this. Also, reach out to your water authority. Those who have been affected by flooding may be eligible for rebates on their water bill. A list of other grants and support networks are available on Buloke Shire Council's website at buloke.vic.gov.au/funding available for those affected by flooding. Thank you to the North Central Football League and good luck to all your teams today. A special thank you also to Emergency Management Victoria for all your support. We hope you enjoyed this vodcast. Keep a lookout in your local papers, footy recorder, social media and on our website for information. We will transcribe a summary of today's vodcast and make it available in print form. If you'd like a copy, reach out to us next week by calling 1300 520 520. Have a safe and happy weekend.
Oh, before you go, Bart, I thought you were supposed to tell me all about what you're getting up to. You've been busy and you're about to go and do something fairly important.
I sure am, David, and I'm off to Geelong this weekend.
This weekend, yeah.
Next weekend. Sorry, this weekend to represent the rule shows, as we spoke about earlier. So I'm down to Geelong at the convention centre there to as I'm a finalist in the Junior Show Ambassador Award, which I actually was awarded the district winner here not long ago in Donald, which was presented to me, which I was very, very fortunate to receive. So I'm really looking forward to heading off to that and representing the rural shows of Victoria. So I'm really excited. Thanks for asking.
Oh, that's fantastic and all the best because we need some more trophies up this way in Buloke.
Yeah, we haven't had many. We haven't had a rural ambassador up this way.
No,
so it'll be good.
Fingers crossed. We'll see how we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Awesome.